Of course, it goes without saying that when it comes to sprinting, lower body strength is obviously important. After all, we run with our legs, right? But just because we run with our legs doesn't mean that we should neglect our upper body, doesn't mean that you want to have a proportionally weak upper body. So what value does upper body strength bring to the table? What role does our upper body actually play when we sprint? What muscles should you look to strengthen? And what technical upper body mistakes should you avoid when sprinting? That's what we're talking about in today's video, so keep watching. Hi guys, and welcome back to Fit with T. I hope you guys are good. This is another video in my Sprinting ABC series, and today we're on the letter U and we're talking about the value of the upper body. So for the purpose of today's video, I'm going to split our body into two, right? So let's say that your lower body is from your hips down, so your legs, and your bum. And let's say that your upper body is basically your torso, everything from your hips upwards. That includes your torso and your arms and of course your head and your neck, right? So everything upwards is actually your upper body. And so when I actually say that, hopefully even by mentioning those parts of the body, it already triggers thoughts in your mind as to how your movement patterns in your upper body, you know, your skills such as your coordination, your rhythm, your movement and strength, and maybe even flexibility in some areas can actually hinder or help your sprinting. So what role does the upper body play in sprinting? So naturally, even when we walk, we move opposite arm to leg, and it gives us this counterbalance even when we're walking, right? So some of us have different gaits. Maybe your foot turns out, or maybe your foot turns in, or maybe you have like a tight hip or something wrong with your knee, and you'll see your upper body tends to compensate in order to help with your movement. So maybe you may twist at the top, maybe you may like dip at the side to compensate for something that's happening on the lower body. So now imagine when you're sprinting, where you're actually moving much faster, producing a lot more force, hitting the ground more aggressively, and there's a lot more stabilization that actually has to take place. You can already see how your upper body plays a role in this. So when we actually swing our arms, it helps to give us that forward momentum, so it helps to thrust the knee forward. So that's why when you're swinging your arms, you're thinking about driving the elbow back and the arm down. You're helping or counterbalancing both the vertical and horizontal forces that are being applied. That's why even when it comes to like athletics, you have para categories, because for example, someone who may not have both arms or any arms, they are actually at a disadvantage because of the fact that no arms is actually much harder to stabilize your body and to resist almost wanting to fall or collapse into a stride. And so that's why you do have para categories for that very purpose. So if you do have two arms, then it's at your advantage to actually use them, right? And to use them properly and correctly. If you haven't checked out this video where I talk about how to use our arms, the sprinting arm action, and I encourage you to check that out, where I talk about arms in more detail. You know, even I talk about your hands, and I also talk about your elbow, how high, how low, what the range is, all of that stuff. So I go into detail in that video, but I just want you to understand our arms play a role in helping that counterbalance, to help to absorb some of the force. When our foot hits the ground, we are able to swing our arm back. It just helps with that forward momentum to maintain our form and technique to help us achieve our goal, which is to move forward as quickly as possible. So before I get on to the next point, if this video is bringing value to you guys, please give it a big thumbs up to let me know, to let the algorithm know, and so that more athletes like you can see this video. What about our torso? Not just your abs. You know, we say core, our core strength is important, but you have to think of your core not just as your abs, but also your back, right? So having good ab strength, good back strength, again helps with stabilization. Every time you hit the ground on one foot, to avoid that collapse that can happen, obviously our lower body strength and how stiff we are in our lower limbs is going to be important, it's going to play a role. But you know, like I said, how our upper body can compensate or almost do funny things to help us to produce a movement that we're looking for, but it can be not as efficient. And so if you have good upper body strength, it actually helps you to maintain those nice tall postures that you want to have, especially in the upright running position. Helps you to be able to maintain those forward leans in the drive phase and the acceleration phase, right? And so you don't want to neglect your upper body. You want to make sure you have a nice strong core, because the faster you're getting, the stronger and more powerful you're getting, the more you want to be able to absorb those forces and not have loads of movement. You don't want to have loads of movement happening at the top, right? So you want to have strong obliques. So you don't just want to work on your rectus abdominis where you can get a 6-pack or an 8-pack or 10-pack or whatever it is kind of pack you want. However, you want to also work on your oblique, you know, your transverse abdominis, so that you do have the ability to withstand going side to side, right? And where you're able to resist twisting too much, basically achieving your goal again of moving forward most efficiently without wasting energy. And so good core strength is going to help with that. Similarly, like I said, your back, having good back strength is going to help with that. Even pec strength, to be able to thrust your arm back forward, shoulder strength, pec strength, shoulder strength, upper back. So working on your upper body plays a role and helps you to actually achieve the goal that you're trying to do in sprinting. So no one says you have to be necessarily the strongest man in the world, but like I said again, proportional to your leg strength, you want to have good upper body strength, right? So you can actually counterbalance the power. If you have very strong, powerful legs and your arms are so weak, your torso is so weak, it's gonna cause you a problem. So you want to have good enough strength for where you're at and what your body's able to produce in the lower limbs as well, right? So if you look at sprinters anyway in general and you see them line up, even if they're very like lean athlete, a very tall or slender athlete, they still are proportionally strong for their body. They're still powerful even in the upper body. So that's something you want to think about, because you want to be able to whip your arm back, drive it just as fast, because your arms, I like to say this all the time, but your arms help to steer what's happening with your legs. So if your arms are moving slow, you're not able to really aggressively swing with your arm because you have weak shoulders. Your shoulders get fatigued. You have like not very good muscle endurance up top, muscular strength, muscular endurance in your shoulders, and your shoulders get tired quickly. That can actually hinder your sprinting as opposed to help it. So building strength in these areas in upper body can actually help you. So hopefully that's opened your eyes, right? Or reminded you as to why upper body strength is important, the value of your upper body when it comes to sprinting. Yes, we run with our legs, but our upper body plays a key role in that as well, right? So I've mentioned some of the muscles that you want to work on, but what are some of the mistakes that you want to avoid? I've already spoken about one of those, which is twisting, and you want to make sure that you avoid that, right? You know, working on that strength, stabilizing the core and stuff like that, that's going to help you with that. But something that a lot of people actually don't think about when it comes to sprinting is your head, and how your head plays a role and can hinder your sprinting. If you haven't seen this video where I talk about how your head position, your chin position can affect your sprinting, make sure to check that out. And if you want to know some other ways that your arm position can actually hinder your sprinting, then make sure to check out this video over here, and I'll see you guys on another Friday. Bye guys.